the two, but were you able to learn things from last week's game?
Well, I suppose so, yeah, in as much as I thought we played pretty well. Yeah, they've got a very strong squad and had a massive win this week for them as well. So, yeah, we're not going to be a tough game, but I think we knew that anyway before we played last weekend. So, yeah, we've got to be at our best.
Yeah, they presumably be one of the teams fighting out for automatic promotion, wouldn't they, at the end of the season? Are they one of the better teams you've faced so far?
Yeah, undoubtedly they are a very strong side. So, yeah, we know that they are a very strong side. Simple as that.
Yeah. Andy King was captain last week. A proud moment for him, of course. Somebody you know very well. You must have seen the beam on his face, and it must have been good for you as well to see to put that honour on him almost.
It's just really trying to get the right person to be a leader out on the pitch. I mean, Kingy would play the same way whether he's wearing the armband or not, and that's something which is a bonus for us anyway, because he's a good communicator. He's a very experienced player, and he's very good at passing on information on the field. So whether he's got the armband or not, he will always play in the same sort of way. But I think for him to captain the side was, I think it was a special moment. But I'm not in the sort of game to just pass it out just because it's a nice thing for somebody to have. It's about trying to choose somebody who's going to do the job in the way that we need it doing.
Yeah. Do you think he carried across the duties well though?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, he is what he is. I mean, it was good to get 70 minutes or so out of him as well. Because he's returning from quite a long absence out. So good for him to get that pitch time, and hopefully he'll be stronger and benefit from that this weekend as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Fulham had a big win during the week. What sort of impact will that have on the game, or effect will it have on the game, and does it make you or give you extra things to think about going into the game ahead of it, because you know they're in good goal scoring form?
I don't know how it will affect our game, but it's a clear illustration of how strong they are. Reading have got a few problems themselves though, in terms of availability of players, and I think what it does do, it can outline or highlight rather the difference really between some of the top sides when they hit a rich vein of form. Bearing in mind that a lot of those players had not played for 3 weeks because of fixture cancellations or postponements rather. They got back into the swing of it against us and showed what a quality side they were against Reading. So how it affects our game, don't know. I don't really overthink that, to be honest with you.
No, but City have a good record at Craven Cottage, don't they? In recent past, won on the last 5 visits there. Can you draw sort of, I suppose, inspiration from previous meetings, or is that all in the past and it's more about this one, so previous meetings don't count at all?
Well, there you go. You just answered it. I mean, who knows? It's a journalist line, is that one? It's certainly not a football manager's line.
No, but it must give you some sort of confidence, if you like, knowing that the team have got a good record there in recent times.
We're a different team, different players, so who knows? But all I want us to do is go there and play with the same sort of commitment and quality as we did at the weekend.
Yeah. Is there any update on Nathan Baker's injury situation?
No, not really. No. I'm not expecting him back anytime soon. Yeah.
No. And on the rest of the squad, how are they looking ahead of the weekend?
Yeah, we're not too bad, to be honest with you. The players have trained well this week, so hopefully, we're in reasonable shape, really.
Yeah. Well, good luck for the weekend, Nigel.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Cheers. Thanks.
Hi Nigel. Can I just ask on Tyreek? You said that he had COVID last week. Is he back in train? You said he's back in training. Is he like a available selection? Has he progressed well?
Yeah, he'll be in the squad. He'll be in the squad. So he's fine. Trained all week. So yeah, he'll be okay. I mean, he trained last Saturday morning, but he couldn't. He's not available last Saturday. So yeah, but
So
he's
he
okay.
on the training ground?
Pardon?
Was he on the training ground? Was he on the training ground?
Yeah, he
on
isolated
Saturday?
He isolated for however many days it was, 5-6 days, and we follow the protocols. So yeah, he's available.
That's great. And one thing that when you look at the team is the battle between the number one spot, Max O'Leary and Bentley, the life of a reserve goalkeeper, and you have to wait for your opportunity. How well do you think that Max O'Leary has adapted to his opportunity in the side recently?
Listen, I just think of it as being we've got two really good goalkeepers there, and I think Max has done fine since he's been in there. So yeah, I don't think of it in the same way as you spelled it out. I don't. For me, it's we've got competition for places throughout the squad, and the goalkeeping position's as important as any other position. So Max has taken his opportunity well, and yeah, it's good to have that competition.
And with Dan, obviously, he's captain. Has he brought up anything about that, or is it a case of the goalkeepers union, or as you said, it's too much into something that isn't there?
So ask that question again. I didn't understand what you meant.
Just in regards to like Dan, because he's captain.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not on the side. Has he spoken to you just about not being on the side at the moment? Or?
Well, if he had, I wouldn't share it with you, would I? Wouldn't talk about things that go on privately within the football club. I make decisions based on what I think's right for the team, and that's it. So, it's not easy to leave out your captain, but it's, as I've said, it's more important that we have healthy competition for places. So that's really how I see it. I don't see it in any other way, really.
And just lastly, just in regards to some manager's shoes, their last game to your position, did you learn anything from last weekend that you can go into this weekend in regards to how Fulham set up, or is it a completely different game?
They've played more or less the same system all season, so I wouldn't expect too many tactical changes from them, but I would expect the starting lineup to be very different from what we had last week.
Thanks, Nigel.
Okay, cheers. Richard?
Hi Nigel,
Hi
nice
there.
to meet you. I'm Richard, I'm the new reporter for the Bristol Post.
How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. My first question really is on Robbie Cundy, another 75 minutes under his belt in midweek. How close is he to first team action, or how many more games does he need for the under-23s before he can take into consideration?
It's not an easy question to answer because he's been out for a long time. Under-23 football is very, very different to the Championship. It's good that he's back on playing games now. So he's had half a game followed up by 75 minutes. So he's making progress, but I think it's very early to talk about consideration for the first team. He's a player that needs to continue to work very, very hard, and then it'll be about how whether he can sustain that. So yeah, there's no date for that. There's no date. There's no certainty behind that.
And from one defender to the other, Thomas Callas's comments last week about more emphasis from playing out the back, and so the players enjoy that more. Is that something that you've been working on more in training?
Well, obviously, yeah, of course. We're not just going to turn up on a Saturday and all of a sudden do something off the cuff. No, so we always try and look at things in training which are appropriate to how the team plays. But I'm not aware of Thomas's comments, but I thought he and the rest of the players were showed a lot of courage in and out of possession last week. So we'll need that as the baseline at the weekend. Yeah, I thought he along with the rest of the players did very well.
And is any plans to let anyone leave on loan? I know Sam Bell and Britain have been recalled recently.
Anybody?
Any plans for the players to leave on loan? I know Sam Bell and Britain have been recalled recently from their loan spells. Is there any plans to send those out?
Well, again, you'll find out when things happen. So, we don't broadcast how we do our business, whether it's ins or outs, and it's certainly not something I ever speculate on. We only ever send players out on loan if we think that it's going to be beneficial to the player, really. We've had a number of players who have had some good exposure on loan so far this season, and we'll see where that goes. But at the moment, there's nothing really imminent.
And the City's record at Fulham, 5 straight wins there at Craven Cottage. Does that give the players any psychological advantage going into the game at all?
I wouldn't think so.
We're
a different team, aren't we? We're a different team to last year, and 5 years it's a totally different setup. But I don't know whether that has any effect on them. It's more about how we approach this as an individual fixture. So. It's not something I was aware of until I came on this call, but I think that gives you an insight into how I look at things like that. But I'm sure our fans will be hopeful that it becomes a longer stretch.
And Mitrovic and Harry Wilson too. I mean, the Championship's top performers this season. It's the third time you've come up against them. Has there been a different plan from the first meeting to this time, and how you can prevent those players from making an impact in the game? Especially Mitrovic, who has 24 goals in 23 games.
I mean, again, if there was, do you think I'd be broadcasting it, in the media? We know that they're good players, and our players have to be at the top of their games individually. More importantly, collectively, we need to. I mean, last weekend, what was particularly good was how cohesive we were as a team in terms of dealing with our opponents on that day, who I fully recognise were a very different side to what it will be this weekend. But the principles remain the same. We need to have enough individuals winning their own battles, but on top of that, more importantly, is how well we function as a team, and that's always going to be the key factor for us when you play against a side who, they have a lot of quality, and they have individuals who are very capable of affecting the result. So we know all about that. We've got to be good enough on the day, simple as that.
Thanks, Nigel.
Okay, pleasure.
Nigel, just going back to the playing at the back, the bravery possession, is something you've talked about, but there does seem to have been a subtle change in approach on the ball. You have gone less direct. I'm pretty sure the numbers bear that out. I just wondered what caused that change.
I just think we needed to try and be more creative. I think I've said that in the past, that creativity, we needed to try and find different ways of being creative. So we weren't getting enough positive results, so you got to try and change one or two things. We've not exactly set the world alight in terms of results, but I think the performances have been pretty positive. So I think there's been an improvement, and I always think it's important that you can win games or at least be effective in games in different ways. So I still want us to be a side that can press our opponents, and we've got players who can manage the ball. Of course we have, but we've not always played at the tempo that I think is the right tempo for us to play at. But yeah, we're doing okay. We're doing okay.
And Max's introduction, does he tap into that slight change in terms of creativity, in terms of his distribution?
Well, look, he's got a good temperament. He's got a really good temperament. He's nice and calm. So that's your job to make those calls. That's not for me to. I make decisions based on selection around what I think is best for the team. Simple as that. So yeah, he's played his part very well, I think.
Just because, sorry, I wasn't at the game last Saturday. Matty James was rested as such. There's no sort of underlying problem there, so he's back in contention for the weekend.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How's Joe Williams doing?
Really well. Training ever so well. Yeah. Very well. But he's not in contention for this game. No. The plan remains the same with him, and that is, over the next 2 weeks or so now, he may find himself in a position that he gets into a squad, but we have to make sure that our approach in terms of getting him match fit and robust enough to deal with the championship, that it's not about looking good in training. It's not about having trained now probably 5 weeks on the spin where he's been involved in training sessions in some way. It's about him being able to come back into the side and stay in the side. He's had too many situations where that's nearly been the case, and we don't want another one. So it's not about being over careful. It's just about taking away trying to minimise the risk, and with somebody who's as unpredictable as Joe is, and he is, it's important that we don't expose him to game situations too early.
Last one. Can you just sort of fill us in what the situation is with Taylor Moore? He's obviously
on loan.
Is that going to remain the case? Because I understand there's a January option there.
Yeah, I mean, I've not spoken to him, but there's we as it stands, we don't feel the need to recall him. No.
Good stuff. Thanks, Nigel.
Thank you.
Dan Carter from University of Gloucestershire. Welcome, Dan. Have you got a question too for Nigel?
Yeah, I do. Hi, Nigel.
Hi, Dan. You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. I just wanted to ask about Jay Da Silva, because he came off the bench on Saturday for his first game in a while in that sort of right wing back role.
Yeah.
George Tanner out and Alex Scott's been playing there a lot. Is he someone that you see able to play there for 90 minutes in the Championship?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know whether that would be necessarily fair, but what I liked about Jay's attitude to being asked to play, that I thought he did really well. When you play against a side who tend to have a right footer on the left and a left footer on the right, where they cut inside, actually it's not potentially as big a problem as it could be if you've got an orthodox wide player. And I thought in possession as well, he showed a lot of intelligence. Jay's a good footballer. He's a really good footballer. I think even he would admit this season he's not hit the levels of performance that he would expect from himself and that he's shown in the past here. So, but he's a player who's bright enough. He's got good football intelligence, and he's technically a gifted player. So, I thought he did really well when he went on. So I wouldn't have a hesitation of doing that again. Yeah.
And just on Mitrovic has obviously been mentioned, and I'm sure he will be a lot.
Yeah.
I thought, although he didn't play the entire game on Saturday, I thought Rob Atkinson dealt with him really well, and he's had a difficult couple of weeks or months in the last.
Rob,
months. Do you think that? Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, he's not been able to get back to his early form of the season, but I thought he did very well at the weekend, and so it's a step in the right direction. But look, I also have probably more realistic expectations of players who sign from leagues that are, below us, either League 2, League 1 players, and we've signed a couple of those this year. It's I think people take it for granted that it's an easy step up, and it isn't. And so when you play against players of the calibre of Mitrovic, who his goals record speaks for itself. He's a player who his goals to chances conversion rate, I would imagine, is pretty high. So yeah, he's a very good striker at this level. He's not too bad in the Premier League too. So yeah, it shows you that there is a huge, when you take Fulham players who have played in the Premier League, and then you look at players in our squad who've made step ups from either 1 or 2. It's a big ask week in, week out. That we have every faith that players like Rob, George Tanner will continue to improve over time, and that's really that's where we are, I'm afraid.
And just finally, I was going to say, Tommy Conway obviously came on for extra time and was really bright. I think he had a good couple of chances.
Yeah, 2 good chances, yeah.
Yeah, is he someone you see as being able to have a big impact on this squad now as well as in the future?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, he will hopefully get more chances this season. He broke into the side last year because of our injury situation, and we were using a lot of young players last season. This year he's had to deal with injury through pre-season, so he's taken a bit of time to get back. But that was an old injury that needed sorted out. It wasn't a fresh injury. It was an ankle problem that just needed to be dealt with to allow him to look forward rather than hope it doesn't reoccur. So Tommy's come back in good physical condition, and he's got some really good attributes. So hopefully he can make an impact over a period of time. But he's not somebody that I got asked earlier about loans. Tommy's not somebody who I'd consider putting out on a loan, because he's too close to the first team.
Okay, cheers, Nigel.
Okay.